Welcome, everyone, and welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How many times can I say welcome in the open of this show? Glad you're here. This is the PWTorch Fireside Chat for Friday, November 11th, 2022. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. I'm saying the word welcome, but really, we are here to preview this week's episode of WWE Smackdown, and a pretty big Smackdown show tonight in a lot of ways. Big matches, big angles, big stakes, and kind of a new angle, a new theme, a new tournament that we'll be discussing as well. So lots to get to. A little bit of business first. If you're here, if you're on the YouTube channel, do me a favor, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have new content dropping every single day, live content for the most part. And you can find it all here. If you just subscribe and hit the little notification button so you know when we go live, you know when we post something, it would be a big help, but I also think you would get a lot out of it too. So subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Again, we're here every single weekday live, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're previewing Raw, NXT, and AEW Dynamite, respectively. Thursday, we have our flagship YouTube show, The Fireside Chat, with myself and Tyler Sage. And we were on the air live yesterday with a live audience, talking the news of the week. We spent a lot of time on WWE. We spent a lot of time on the Money in the Bank cash-in with Theory. We also spent a lot of time on the Saraya Britt Baker segment, which was polarizing to say the least. And so if you're in the chat right now and you want to get in on that conversation, please do. That's fine. We can debate that a little bit longer. But yeah, it was a really fun show. So if you haven't checked it out, it's in the archives. It's on the channel now. There's also a slew of interviews and a host of other cool things going on YouTube. So keep it locked there and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hello to our live listeners and live viewers. Dr. Ross, great to have you here, my friend. Are you excited for SmackDown? Are we not excited for SmackDown? Pretty big match. And we'll start there today. The Usos defending their undisputed World Tag Team Championships against the New Day. And the titles are not just on the line. It's not just the championships on the line, but it's also the record, the longest reigning tag team title record in history is on the line in tonight's match. The New Day owns that title currently. If the Usos win this match tonight, they own the title moving forward. So it's really, I think it's a pretty darn intriguing match. I know that the New Day is not this hot commodity that they once were, but boy, they once were hot. I mean, again, they were one of the hottest teams that WWE has ever had. Period. And they have this record, and so I think it's a positive to make something out of that. In terms of a story, in terms of an angle, like why not? Like, why not go with that? I mean, if you're going to call it out and you're going to kind of maintain these records and keep track of them, you should use them when you can. And I think this is WWE using it in the right way. I really believe that. Like, they're getting a good television match out of this. They were able to build it up weeks ahead of time. And so, like, I think now is a good time to do it. As A Milano was saying in the chat, and thanks for being here, hype for New Day versus Usos feels like the final chapter of a great rivalry. It does. It does feel like that. It's fitting that these two teams have gone against each other so much for those tag titles to now have it come full circle and have them wrestling for the titles and for the record, right? I think that's good business. I think that's really good business. And what's up, Steven? Good to have you on the show, man. Are you excited for Usos and New Day tonight? I'm trying to take a poll on that. So far, a thumbs up to that match. So listen, this feud and this match has been done over and over and over. WWE, Vince McMahon has gone to this on, I don't know, a handful of different occasion, right? Like it seems like whenever they needed a good tag team match or something to fill some time on a show, man, let's put New Day and the Usos in there, and they always deliver. So if you're going into this, you're going, I'm kind of just lukewarm over the whole thing. We've been there, done that. I can sympathize with that opinion. I definitely can. But at the same time, you have the Usos approaching this landmark number of days as champions. New Day is there. They don't really have much to do right now. I think it totally makes sense, as Steven, you say here, totally makes sense to do this match and to do it in the main event of a SmackDown. Like don't put it on like the middle of the card or the bottom of the card on a pay-per-view. Like this is where that match should be, I think, at this time. Like this needs to be where it's at. Main event of a TV show. And I think, it will draw a number. I mean, yes, there's some NBA games tonight, of course. The news is still attracting some viewers because of the election not fully being called yet. And so, like, there's going to be some things that pull some viewers away tonight. But the bottom line is, this is a TV level main event, and I firmly believe that. As far as who's going to win, I don't think there's drama in the what if. Like, what if New Day wins? Like, I don't think there's any chance that's going to happen. I don't think the New Day gets it here. The New Day, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, Steven, but you're not a fan of the New Day. I don't want to say that I'm not a fan of the New Day, but they're cold. They're a cold act. Even if you liked New Day, even if you were like firmly behind them as a team at one point in time, that the shine is not there anymore. They're both very much just going through the motions. Wade talked about this a lot on the post-show Monday night coming out of that promo. It was just like, they're doing the New Day shtick, but it's like there's no passion behind it. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I'm trying to think of a good band who's on like a reunion tour, like The Who, for example. Like I like The Who as much as the next person. This is nothing against the band The Who, but they're kind of out there kind of going through the Who motions, right? The Who set list, playing all the right things. There's no, I don't know. I don't get a sense of like passion when I watch clips of their shows, or I've been to one of their shows. And so I it's just kind of there, like greatest hits type stuff. Same thing with the New Day. But tonight, if done right, I think that they can get past that and actually have a match because they have history to build on. So look, I think if they go this route that Milano's talking about here and like they produce some video package, they talk about their history, maybe they do some backstage promos where both teams can talk about the history of their feud and of their like trajectories together, both going up the card at the same time. That will work, but it doesn't fix the fundamental issue with New Day, though, which is they're just stale. And every act gets that way, or most acts get that way anyway. Even some of the biggest acts in the history of the business. Steve Austin act, eventually, now, it was like scorched and red hot, so even a stale Steve Austin was still over than most acts in wrestling, but it cooled. It's natural. You can't go on forever with the same characters and the same acts in the same exact way. And that's where New Day is right now. Like they are in that zone where they're going on, 7 years of this. That's a long time. That's a long time. Azan, thanks for joining us, man. Glad you're here. So look, the Usos are going to win this thing, and they should. They are hot now. They are hot today. I think they need, and frankly, deserve that extra oomph, that extra momentum, that extra push. I wouldn't be taking anything away from them or the Bloodline faction or the Bloodline story at this point. So unless like they do the Sami Zayn kind of turn, I guess, tonight, in which Zayn maybe, I don't know, costs the Usos the tag titles, and but then you're effectively hitting the green light on the feud with Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns and Zayn. So like, yeah, as Zan says, I don't know if he should. I don't know if he should, Azan. That would be the way to go, right? If you want to take the titles off the Usos and you want to ignite that feud with Zayn and the Bloodline and Zayn and Sikoa and Zayn and Reigns down the road, that's what you'd be doing. So you have to be, if you're WWE, ready for that to jump into place. And I just don't get the sense that they are yet. I think you want this Sami Zayn thing to continue to simmer and to continue to build and build and build and build. And I think you'll know when to go with it because the crowd will be hot. Like, think back to 2014 when Daniel Bryan is as hot as he ever was in the lead up to the Royal Rumble and coming out of the Royal Rumble even. Like, that's when you want to strike, in my opinion, with Sami Zayn. Let that build. Let the audience invest more in Sami Zayn, like, overcoming the bloodline. I think you want to start that story first. You want to go down the road of like Sami doesn't quite see what the bloodline's doing to him yet, but the audience does. And so that they build up this support, investment. And then finally, when Sami notices and kind of takes it on his shoulders to do something about it, he's got the whole audience on his side, raring to go. So I think that's what you do. And so I think you hold back. Plus, as Anas just pointed out, I think you're going to want to have a War Games match with the bloodline involved. And if you want that to be a thing, if you want the bloodline to be involved, you need Sami Zayn as the fifth person in that match. So that's, another reason why you don't pull the trigger on that quite yet. So I think this is likely, I mean, this is going to sound bad to say, guys, but it's like the New Day doesn't need protecting here. I don't, like, if they lose this match, nothing really happens. It's not, I don't think they that far down the pecking order in WWE and on that roster. They just don't. I don't think they lose much. So I would absolutely be doing this clean. And I think that's probably not going to happen because it's rare that kind of thing does happen in WWE. However, the bloodline is so over that, Triple H, Paul Levesque may just say, hey, no, we're going with this clean, and I hope he does. New Day doesn't need protecting right now. They're fine no matter what. For better or worse, they're Teflon, and usually that doesn't mean you're in a great spot because it doesn't mean people care as much about you, but that's where they are. So this is Job City tonight, if you ask me. If you're the New Day and if you're Paul Levesque, you put the Usos over clean. I think you put the Usos over clean. You have this kind of, big celebration at the end. I don't know that. Here's the thing: you put them over clean, but I think you also have to get some heat on them in how they go over. So when I say clean, I just mean no distraction finish, no like shenanigans type finish, but like a heelish finish, I'm okay with. Because if you don't start dropping in some of that heelish stuff with the bloodline, Reigns included, like they're already starting to slowly go over to a positive crowd reaction side. And frankly, they get reacted to like big stars no matter where they go. And so like, I wouldn't mess with that any further. You have some big business on the table with the bloodline collectively as heels. Whether it's Roman against The Rock, Roman against Sami, Roman against Cody Rhodes, the Usos against Sami and Kevin Owens, what have you, they need to be heels for all that stuff to work as best as it can possibly work. So, for that reason, I'm going over mostly clean with a hint of heel there, if you will. Drop your notes in, drop your comments, your questions about that match tonight if you have any more of them, but we will move on. Tonight begins the SmackDown World Cup, and like clearly WWE is playing off of the FIFA World Cup that's coming up at the end of this month. It's interesting that I mean, you could see from a business perspective what they're trying to do here pretty easily, right? They're trying to just grab onto that World Cup thing and go with it. The winner of this gets a shot at Gunther for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and tonight we've got Santos Escobar against Shinsuke Nakamura in the first round. Good match. I have no problem with that match at all. I think that's a good way to I don't want to say rebuild Santos Escobar, because remember, Legado del Fantasma did that job. Steven, you're cracking me up here in the comments. Oh gosh, if Zach was here, other Zach, he would not be happy about this. AEW would just give the winner a belt. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, Steven. That's for sure. You crack me up. Legado did the job to Hit Row a couple weeks back, which I didn't care for. I think Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma just have a much, much higher ceiling to them at this point in time on SmackDown than Hit Row did. And so I thought that set them back quite a bit. Santos can get it back here, get that momentum back with a win over Nakamura. Like Nakamura, look, it's not a huge win because of how Nakamura's been booked and treated throughout his entire main roster tenure, but it's something. Like it's not beating Otis either, right? So I think this is a smart match to go with. Santos, if I was a betting man, like Santos Escobar would be getting a lot of my money as far as who I'm putting the money on to win. If Nakamura wins this, I will be pretty surprised. And I think it'd be telling about what Paul Levesque thinks of Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma on the main roster. You'll just be able to tell that if they choose Nakamura over Escobar, like, okay, you're indirectly saying something there, even if you don't mean to. Gunther being the kind of the end game leads me to think that Santos is not going to win this because it's heel at that point, and I don't think you want that for either of the two guys, for Gunther or for Santos. So I think it will be somebody else that wins this. But as far as this goes tonight, Santos Escobar versus Shinsuke Nakamura, like this is Santos written all over it, and it'll be disappointing. It will be disappointing if he doesn't for him. Just you're not sitting pretty if you're doing this job to Shinsuke Nakamura at this point in 2022 after debuting just a month or so ago. Let's see here. Will the audience know Santos? Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's been on SmackDown for a good month now, I think, or close to, and he's had a couple matches. So yeah, I think people will know who he is. Or at least, and hopefully if they don't know exactly who he is, they'll remember that he's the guy from the vignettes. Maybe they won't remember the match, but then, he should really have a serviceable match with Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, Santos Escobar is really good in the ring. The guy can work. So, I think that helps the situation. Does Braun take a shot at Double J tonight? Yeah, I think he probably does. Triple H, Paul Levesque, he doesn't show it as much anymore because he's an executive now, and he's not in the ring, he's not performing. So I think he's toned down some of his competitiveness. But the guy has a massive ego. He'd be the first one to tell you that, I think. And because of that, I absolutely think he's not going to let somebody like that go. I think it'll be small. I think it'll be just kind of like a nod to that remark. And if you know, if you don't, you don't. But yeah, no, I don't think Triple H lets that one go. I really don't. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Rin Gunther, generational talent that he could work in the 60s and he could work today. He is, and I'm surprised. Like I shouldn't be surprised because I'm not surprised so much now with how Gunther's being booked. But what I was surprised with was how he was booked when Vince McMahon was still running the show. I mean, he could have been dead in the water with Vince McMahon there if McMahon didn't know what to do with him. And we've seen that so much, like with NXT call-ups, and he was right there with it. And the name change to Gunther from Walter, people didn't like that. I had less of an issue with it. It's just the name. You get it over. I think people, for the most part, whether they would admit it or not, have, for the most part, forgotten about the weird name. And it just is what it is at this point in time. So I argue that. But, like, he was not damaged. And Triple H, Paul Levesque coming in and kind of being able to grab onto that act even further and kind of mold it even more in his own vision, I think has helped it. And the guy is really valuable to SmackDown right now. He can have good matches with anybody. He's holding down the fort with the IC title in a big way. And so, like, he has been absolutely a thumbs up. And somebody that I think is in line for bigger things if he wants it. I mean, if let's just say, for example, Cody Rhodes comes back to SmackDown and they complete that whole story, right? They go through the story. Rhodes beats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and now what? Well, Gunther can be there. He can be there waiting in the wings. Why not? I mean, he's definitely somebody you can plug into that role at this point in time. I think Gunther is another guy that you can put in the ring against Brock Lesnar. I think he can be a guy that goes toe to toe with Brock Lesnar. Like, that match is something I definitely would want to see. I mean, I think Gunther is underrated on the microphone because he doesn't need to say much. And because he doesn't need to say much, his promos are kind of like short, to the point. There's not a lot of depth in them, but he gets across what he needs to, and that's the goal. And against Brock, I think there's some red chests in the future for both those guys in a match like that. Gunther World Champion? I'm not ready to go there yet. And it's not because I don't think like he can hold the title, but it's more so that I don't know. I just don't see him in that role. And there's just other people that are in line first. Gunther, I think, is a great heel opponent for any potential champion, though. I mean, so he's, in a good place on the WWE main roster at this point in time. Yeah, Dr. Ross, you're right about that too. Heel Gunther against face Roman Reigns down the road. Yep. Print the money. You could do Gunther against Bray Wyatt too. So you could do that. So interesting stuff. Are you guys all on the same page? Sanchez Escobar is going to win. Just thumbs up in the chat would be good. All right, Milano. Yes, we can. Let's talk about the women's match. We have a 6-pack challenge tonight to determine the next contender for Ronda Rousey's WWE Smackdown Women's Championship. And we've got, a bit of a mixed bag in terms of like talent that could win this match tonight and then legitimately face Ronda Rousey with credibility. You've got Xia Li, you've got Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville, Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, and Liv Morgan. That's not exactly a who's who of potential contenders for women's championships in WWE. I mean, it just isn't. I mean, Liv Morgan is probably the only one in that match that even has a sliver of just overall credibility to get this opportunity. But we've just done Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan. So she's out, right? That's not going to happen. Shotzi, I mean, you could go there with it, but I mean, that's not a pay-per-view main event, you know? Same thing with Sonya Deville, not a pay-per-view main event. Xia Li, I mean, we haven't framed that up at all as something that reasonably could happen at this point in time. And then Raquel Rodriguez, who I think is probably the most reasonable of a choice, but it all depends on what WWE and what Paul Levesque want out of her. Like, if she's going to be somebody that is going to they want to be the focus of the women's division on SmackDown, right? Like, then I'm not putting her in this match because she's not going to win the title right now. And if that's something that you see for Raquel Rodriguez down the road, where she's going to be a player and she's going to be a major focus of the division, then you don't have her win this match. Because this person, whoever wins this, is going to be doing the job to Ronda Rousey, whether it's on TV or at a pay-per-view or something else. So it's all a matter of like what is on tap in the immediate future. Is this just to get a challenger to throw on TV in a couple of weeks and build like a short little program? Okay, if that's the case, and if that's what they're doing, I think you can make Shotzi the right opponent in that scenario. You're not building her up for anything significant. She's being built up to drive a quick little number with Ronda on television and do the job, do the favors. But so you can make that work. Raquel Rodriguez, no, not going down that road with her. Liv Morgan, already been there, done that. Sonya Deville, that doesn't really match up for me because it's like she's kind of a heel, and same thing with Lacey Evans, and same thing with Xia Li. Like, I think they would all kind of like, like it would all kind of mash together and not be a coherent story if those three women win. So if you take those three heels out because Ronda's a heel, if you take Raquel Rodriguez out because she's got bigger plans down the road and they have bigger plans for her, and if you take Liv Morgan out because she just got a title shot, like, Shotzi's the only one left. She's the only one left. There's nobody else in this match. So I think this is going to be Shotzi. That's it. It's not a good situation. It's not a good situation. I mean, I think you could have had, as you guys are mentioning in the chat right now, you could have had Shayna Baszler in there, but Shayna's been buddy-buddy with Ronda Rousey, so you don't want to go down that road. But that's it, though. Like, I don't know who else there really is. Like, I thought maybe you could have brought up some kind of, enhancement talent from NXT, but like, I just think that this is kind of like a one woman match. And I think Shotzi's gonna win. Yeah, I mean, Rin, I think Shotzi's gonna do the job to Ronda Rousey. But I think that's my vote. I think Shotzi wins it tonight, guys. Because there's really nobody else to go with. That's all that's officially announced for SmackDown tonight. So it's kind of a bit of a quiet show. You know that Usos and New Day match is going to get a lot of time. I wonder where they put that match on the show tonight. Whether they do it at the beginning so that people aren't clock watching. But if you do that, it kind of loses its allure of kind of being the main event. So we'll have to see where they go on that. But yeah, that's going to get a lot of time. It's the six-pack challenge will need a lot of time too. So I don't know that they're going to need it all that much more. As Rinya, as you're pointing out, and as you're pointing out, we're going to have something from Bray Wyatt tonight. So I'm looking forward to seeing like the next chapter there. I've enjoyed what they've done with him so far. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of what the next chapter is in the Bray Wyatt saga. We'll see. Guys, I will be live tweeting during SmackDown tonight, so you can check me out at Z Heydorn Torch. Boop, boop, boop. Wait. Let me get this right. There it is. Right there. Follow me on Twitter. It should be a fun SmackDown. Looking forward to it. Thank you guys all for being here to help me preview the show today. Subscribe if you're watching us for the first time. Subscribe to the channel. Big help. We got new content all the time, every single day. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So Rin, thank you. Azan, thank you. Milano, thank you. Steven, cheers to you, my friend. Thank you. Dr. Ross, as always, dude. Thank you very much. And everybody else who's clicked play on the show. Thanks. We'll catch you guys next time.